What if the best revenge isn't revenge at all? What if the greatest power you could ever wield is the refusal to react? To no longer seek closure, no longer chase after something that has already let you go. True strength begins the moment you stop responding to what no longer deserves your energy. It begins the moment you realize that silence is not surrender, it is mastery. When she walks away, when she acts as if you never mattered, she expects you to crumble. She anticipates the anger, the late-night text, the desperate reach for what was lost. She waits for you to become predictable, to validate her belief that she still holds power over you. But when there is no reaction, no words, no plea, only silence, that is when the shift begins. Doubt creeps into her certainty, questions replace her confidence, and in the vastness of your silence, she meets something she did not expect. Your absence as a force, not a void. Silence unsettles. It forces the mind to wrestle with what it cannot control, to fear what it cannot define. Understand this: your disappearance is not about games, not about bitterness. It is about reclaiming your dignity without noise, your value without negotiation. You are not seeking to hurt her. You are choosing to honor yourself. The man who chases remains trapped. The man who vanishes, who stands anchored in his own peace, becomes a mystery the world cannot touch. When you stop chasing, you begin leading. You become the man who no longer needs to be chosen, because he has already chosen himself. If you are ready to step into that power, if you are done being predictable, embrace the silence. Let it speak the truth you no longer need to explain. Because here, in this quiet strength, you stop reacting and you start reigning. Now, let's begin. 1. The awakening. Your pain is your call to rise. The moment she walks away, it doesn't mark your ending. It marks the quiet birth of the man you were always meant to become. I know the weight that hits your chest, the disbelief, the hollow silence echoing in the space she left behind. But listen closely. This is not your destruction. It's your awakening. Every great man you admire, every figure who carried himself with quiet power and unshakable presence, stood exactly where you are now. It wasn't the pain that defined him, it was how he responded to it. Pain is not the enemy. It is the forge. It strips away illusions, burns away weakness, and leaves behind the steel of a man who has faced the fire and refused to break. You are standing at a threshold, whether you realize it or not. You can collapse, chasing answers you'll never truly find, or you can plant your feet firmly in the ashes of what once was and decide, this will not be the end of me. You can let this heartbreak hollow you out, or you can let it carve space within you for something stronger to take root. Understand this: the loneliness you feel, the ache gnawing at your spirit, they are not here to punish you. They are here to call you to rise, to challenge you to shed the version of yourself that was willing to seek validation outside of your own soul. This pain is not senseless. It has a purpose. It is the hammer shaping the man who will never again be broken by another's absence. You are not falling, you are forging, and the man who emerges will not be a version seeking redemption, he will be redemption itself. 2. The trap, the illusion of chasing. In the wreckage of loss, there's an almost irresistible pull, the desperate urge to chase her, to plead your case, to fight for something that was already slipping away long before you noticed. It feels noble at first. It feels like courage, but in truth it's a mirage, a trap disguised as redemption. Hear this clearly. If someone can choose to walk away from you, your battle is not to win them back. Your battle is to remember who you are without them. Every time you reach out, every late-night apology whispered into the void, you aren't bringing her closer. You are only strengthening the story she already convinced herself of, that you were not enough, that leaving was justified, that you would still be there, waiting, begging for her return. You are not correcting the narrative, you are confirming it. Chasing is not an act of love. It is a betrayal of your own dignity. It signals that your worth is negotiable, that it depends on her approval, on her choosing you again. And that belief, that your value is something she can validate or revoke, is the deepest lie you must destroy. She made her decision long before the final conversation, long before the door closed behind her. She rehearsed it, she rationalized it, and in doing so, she taught you a painful but necessary truth. Real connection cannot be negotiated. Your worth was never meant to be argued for, bargained with, or proven under duress. You are not here to remind someone why they should have stayed. You are here to remember why you never needed to be convinced of your own value in the first place. Love is not sustained by convincing. It is sustained by recognition, mutual, effortless, and undeniable. When you stop chasing what walked away, you step back into the sacred ground of your own self-respect. You stop pleading for validation and start embodying the kind of man whose energy speaks louder than any apology ever could. The kind of man who does not need to be chosen to know he is worthy. The kind of man who understands that sometimes the greatest power is not in holding on, but in letting go with quiet strength. 3. The shift, turning heartbreak into your fuel. The pain you feel right now is not dead weight. It's raw energy, waiting to be shaped into something greater. You can waste it, scrolling through her photos, replaying old conversations, drowning yourself in what-ifs. Or you can transform it into the fuel that propels you beyond everything you once believed was possible. The choice is yours, and it defines everything that happens next. Pain, if left unmanaged, will consume you. But pain, when mastered, becomes the fire that forges resilience. Each time you resist the temptation to look back, you reclaim your focus. Each time you step into the discomfort, you sharpen your edge. You rise a little higher. Mornings no longer belong to regret. They become battlegrounds for discipline. Wake earlier. Train harder. Push past the limits you once accepted as fact. Build the mind, the body, and the life you always claimed you didn't have time for. Her memory will not haunt a man who is too busy building an empire. It will fade, barely a whisper, against the roar of your own momentum. Your energy, once squandered on someone who chose to leave, becomes the catalyst for a life so vivid, so wide, that it dwarfs the loss that once seemed unbearable. Every morning you choose growth over grief. Every evening you invest in your future instead of mourning your past. You declare something powerful to yourself and to the universe. I am not a man who stays broken. I am the man who rises. Heartbreak is not the end of your story. It is the force that, if you let it, will write your greatest chapter. 4. The disappearance, mastering the power of silence. Silence is not a retreat. It is a calculated act of power. When you choose not to react, when you slip quietly out of her world without anger, without theatrics, you are not showing weakness. You are executing a strategy that few men ever master. Because silence is not merely the absence of words. It is the creation of uncertainty. And in uncertainty, doubt is born. The mind cannot tolerate emptiness. It will rush to fill the vacuum you leave behind with questions, with imagined scenarios, with creeping fears. She will wonder why you didn't fight, why you didn't chase, why you didn't crumble the way she expected. In the silence you leave, her mind will spin stories far more unsettling than anything you could have said aloud. Did he ever really love me? Has he already moved on? Did I make a mistake I can never undo? Nothing lingers longer in the heart than the unanswered question. The realization that the door she slammed so confidently is now sealed shut forever. That is a haunting she cannot escape. Your silence, when executed with calm strength, becomes the loudest message you could ever send. It says without speaking that you are a man who does not beg to be chosen, a man who does not lower himself to reclaim what chose to walk away. This is not about revenge, this is about dignity, about self-respect so profound that it needs no defense, no justification, no desperate explanations. You simply remove yourself from the equation entirely, and in doing so, you elevate beyond her reach. The man who stays silent is the man who forces her to confront her own decisions, her own losses, her own regrets. Let your absence be an echo she cannot silence. Let your restraint be the mirror that forces her to see not what you lacked, but what she lost. True strength is not proven by how loudly you fight. It's revealed in how quietly you walk away and never look back. 5. The rebirth, rising higher than she ever imagined. This journey was never about proving anything to her. It was never about showcasing your success like a trophy for someone who chose to leave. True rebirth does not seek an audience. It seeks authenticity. It demands that you rise not in defiance but in devotion to the man you were always meant to become. Building the body you once dreamed of, crafting the life you once thought was out of reach, creating mornings so full of purpose that you wake with fire in your chest. These are not acts of revenge. They are acts of self-respect. They are the proof that the greatest transformation happens not when you try to show someone what they lost, but when you realize you were never truly living for yourself in the first place. Real growth is silent. It happens in early mornings when no one is watching. It happens in the quiet sacrifices, the unseen discipline, the battles you fight within your own mind. It's easy to fall into the trap of using success as a weapon, to hope she sees, to hope she regrets. But if you build your life with the goal of being seen by her, you are still chained to her approval. And that is not freedom. That is another form of captivity. The man who truly rises does so without needing anyone to witness it. He becomes the kind of man who looks in the mirror and knows he kept a promise to himself. The promise to never settle, never shrink, never beg for validation again. Your rebirth is not a performance. It is a quiet, relentless commitment to yourself. And somewhere down the line, when she catches a glimpse of the man you've become, she may feel a flicker of regret. But by then, it won't matter, because you will be too busy living a life that no longer has room for the echoes of the past. You didn't just move on, you transcended. You became everything you once hoped someone else would see, and far more. 6. The untouchable mind. True power is emotional independence. Your greatest weapon was never anger. It was never the sharp words left unsaid, or the cold stares sent across a crowded room. It was indifference, the pure, unwavering kind that cannot be faked or posted for the world to see. True indifference is not a performance. It is a quiet current running through your veins, born from the place where you have truly let go. When you no longer react to her silence, when you no longer check for signs of her return, when you no longer sit in the shadows hoping for a door to reopen, you transcend the very need that once chained you. You step into a higher existence, one where your peace is no longer negotiable, where your emotional state is no longer held hostage by someone else's decisions. A man who needs nothing from anyone cannot be manipulated, cannot be shaken, cannot be diminished. He becomes a force of nature, complete within himself. And the paradox of life is this: the less you cling, the more everything you once chased begins to chase you. Because neediness repels, wholeness attracts. People are drawn to what they cannot easily possess. They are magnetized by mystery, by the quiet confidence of a man who stands whole without needing their approval. And in that space, when you move without seeking to be seen, When you love your life so deeply that you have no desire to prove your worth to anyone, you become untouchable. True power is not in holding on tighter. It is in letting go completely. It is in walking through your days so anchored to your own center that no storm can move you, no absence can unmake you, and no past can define you. You do not win by forcing someone to recognize your value. You win by recognizing it yourself and refusing to let it be diminished ever again. 7. The return, but you are already gone. It always happens when you least expect it. A message, a random like on an old photo, a sudden memory she tries to slip into your life again as if no time has passed. But make no mistake, this is not love returning. It is control slipping. It is the echo of something she thought she could walk away from without consequence, now returning to haunt her quiet moments. She once believed you would wait. She counted on it. She imagined you lingering in the ruins, hoping, wishing for a second chance. But instead, you vanished. Not out of spite, not out of anger, but out of evolution. You did not stay in the place she left you. You built something new. You became someone new. And now when she reaches back, she finds only the shadow of the man she once knew, untouchable, unbothered, unreachable. This is the moment where many men falter. They see her return as validation, as proof that their worth has finally been recognized. But you know better. You understand that her reaching out is not a confirmation of your value. It's a reaction to your absence. It is curiosity, not commitment. It is nostalgia, not love. And you, the man you have become, are not here to be a second choice or a backup plan. When she returns, you don't rush to respond. You don't open old wounds under the illusion of closure. You remain grounded, because the truth is, you are no longer the man who needed her to stay. You are the man who realized that true power is never found in being wanted. It is found in wanting nothing more than the life you have created on your own terms. The door she once slammed closed now leads to a place she no longer recognizes. And you are already too far beyond it to even hear her knocking. 8. The Stoic choice, choosing yourself without apology. There comes a moment when the choice is placed firmly in your hands. She reaches out, maybe subtly, maybe boldly, testing the waters to see if the man she left is still waiting. For many, this is the moment they've longed for. But not for you. Because you understand now, the ultimate victory was never about getting her back. It was about finding yourself. You see clearly now, her return isn't about a deep realization of your worth. It's about the shift of power she can no longer ignore. And while she hopes the old version of you, the one who needed her approval, the one who placed her on a pedestal, still remains, she will find only distance, only strength, only a man who no longer needs her validation to feel whole. Choosing yourself is not an act of revenge. It's not born from anger or pride. It's born from clarity, from the deep, immovable knowledge that the man you've become will never again settle for someone who could so easily walk away. You no longer seek closure, explanation, or apology. You don't need anything from her, because everything you needed, you found within yourself. When you choose yourself, without apology, without hesitation, you make the most powerful statement you ever could. You are not a chapter she can rewrite. You are not a path she can simply wander back onto. You are the man who rises, who moves forward, who builds a life so full, so real, that no part of the past holds any claim to you anymore. That is the Stoic choice. And that is the freedom she can never take away. 9. Conclusion. Becoming the unshakable man. She won't truly realize what she lost until you realize what you gained. This was never about her. It was never about winning her back, proving a point, or seeking validation from someone who chose to walk away. It was always about you, about reclaiming the parts of yourself you had forgotten. about becoming the man who never needed external approval to know his own worth. The heartbreak you endured was not sent to destroy you. It was sent to awaken you. The man who rises after heartbreak, who chooses not to collapse under its weight, but instead rebuilds himself, becomes a man the world cannot shake. Because real strength is not born in comfort. It is born in the silent battles no one sees, in the decision to keep moving forward when every part of you wants to give up. The man who rebuilds in silence becomes a force too powerful to ignore. Without needing to announce his growth, without seeking recognition, his life speaks for itself. His discipline, his peace, his unwavering focus, they become his loudest declarations. And slowly, without a word spoken, the world feels the shift. You are no longer the man standing at the door, waiting for someone who was willing to leave. You are no longer defined by who stayed or who turned away. You are the storm she never saw coming, the calm within chaos, the force that moves forward with or without applause. You are the man who chose himself without hesitation, without apology. And that choice, the quiet, immovable decision to put yourself first, is what makes you untouchable. Not because you built walls, not because you hardened your heart, but because you finally understood that your worth was never up for negotiation. This is not the end of your story. It's the beginning of the life you were always meant to live. And that is how you become unshakable. When I shared these truths with you, I wasn't just speaking as someone who studied heartbreak from the outside. I was speaking as someone who lived through it. I know the cold emptiness that fills you when someone you once loved walks away. I know the temptation to chase, to explain, to desperately hold on to what is already slipping through your fingers. But I also know what happens when you choose a different path. The path of self-respect, silence, transformation, and quiet rebirth. The journey we have walked together. From awakening through pain, resisting the trap of chasing, turning heartbreak into fuel, mastering the power of silence, rising beyond what she ever imagined, developing true emotional independence, facing her return with indifference, and ultimately choosing yourself without apology. This is not a story about loss. It's a story about reclamation, about rediscovering the version of yourself you had forgotten while trying to hold on to someone else. Every stage we discussed was about turning inward, about pulling your power back from people and situations that once held it hostage. Not out of bitterness, not out of spite, but out of a deep, unwavering realization that the only approval you ever truly needed was your own. Here's the lesson: life will test you. Through loss, through disappointment, through betrayal. People will leave, promises will break, expectations will shatter. But these are not signs that you are unworthy. They are invitations. Invitations to build something that no one else can take away from you. Your unshakable inner foundation. My advice to you is this: do not chase those who leave. Do not shrink yourself hoping to be chosen again. Let your pain be the forge. Let your silence be the echo that teaches others what they lost. Let your life be the undeniable proof that your value was never negotiable. Focus on becoming the man who does not need to prove anything to anyone, only to himself. In today's world, where so much worth is tied to external validation, to fleeting attention and temporary affection, the man who knows his worth, who chooses himself first, who moves forward with dignity and peace. That man is rare. That man is powerful beyond measure. You are not broken. You are being built. And the world has yet to see the full force of the man you are becoming. If you're ready to stop living for others, if you're done seeking approval that was never yours to chase, if you're prepared to rise into the strongest, truest version of yourself, then this is your moment. Stand tall, choose yourself. And if this message spoke to something deep within you, don't leave without hitting that like button, subscribing, and turning on notifications. Join us here at Stoic Station, where we honor the journey of becoming. Leave a final comment below. I am the prize. I am the power. Stay strong, stay stoic, and never forget who you are becoming.